Namaste and a very warm welcome and a very good morning to each and every one of you. Welcome to our series of Sutra Talks where we are trying to dive deep into these ancient texts which are also uncovering very profoundly that how the wisdom of that time is still applicable. And for that we have our guide with us and he's joining from Nagpur. Good morning, Rajesh sir.
Good morning, Dhruv. Namaste.
Namaste. I'll get you on the screen. Yeah. So good morning and thank you so much for joining. And how you are in a retreat, so how's the retreat going and everything?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
It's a day retreat. We
yeah.
finished yesterday, one day, and today we are doing part two of that retreat. So it's going good with almost around 50 plus participants participating from, most of them are not DXN or not from the people who believe in the Buddha's philosophy. They are just normal people and they are coming here and practicing. That's beautiful.
Amazing. So we also have our
Okay, audio, I cannot hear you.
so we'll practice first and then
Yeah.
go for the sutra. So, directly going to the verses for today, we have the chapter 25, which is Tathagata saves no being, and the verses are Subhuti, what do you think? What do you think? You should not say that the Tathagata thinks he shall liberate the beings. Subhuti, do not think in such a way. Why is this so? No being is liberated by the Tathagata. If there were beings that are saved by the Tathagata, it would mean that the Tathagata is attached to self, people, beings, or existence. Subhuti, when the Tathagata says self, there is no self. Yet the unenlightened commoner takes this to be a self. Subhuti, even referring to the commoners, the Tathagata says they are not commoners. That's it.
Yeah. I think the verse here very clearly talks about the process of thinking,
Hmm.
and because most of the conversation that happens with us and the actions that we take is because of the communication we have with the mind, and the
Hmm.
mind's job is to think,
Hmm.
and this thinking, is so unreal because it is you cannot say thinking is real, right? Thinking is just a kind of a mental process which through action becomes real. And here it is saying that the most important concept is that when Buddha is teaching something, it's but natural that somebody suddenly feels that because there is somebody who is teaching, it is his responsibility also to save.
Hmm.
When somebody is giving, it is his responsibility to take care. No, that's not how it is. Here it is saying that, Subhuti, what do you think? Means you should not say that a Tathagata thinks he shall liberate the beings. Means if you think that because he's showing the path, because he's showing the way, because he's giving you the technique, then the responsibility of making sure that that person is saved is also the responsibility of the teacher. No, no, no. It's not like that. Do not think in this way, because why is it so? Because if Tathagata meant that he is able to, save and liberate beings, okay, then that will be a wrong concept, because then he's attached to the dualistic concept of there is somebody else out there. Okay, like one leaf is trying to say that I am going to feed the tree. Okay, it's wrong, because technically it's not feeding the tree. The leaf is doing what it wants to do for its own survival. But in the whole process, all the leaves are doing the same thing for their own survival. But in the process, the tree manifests itself and is doing it for its own survival. So nothing is independent, everything is dependent. So why is it so? Because no being is liberated by the Tathagata. There cannot be somebody who can be liberated by the Tathagata. The teacher cannot assure or guarantee what the student will become. Okay,
Hmm.
but he can teach the student what it needs to be, to become something. If there were beings that were saved by the Tathagata, if there was somebody that the Tathagata would have claimed that I'm saving this person, then it would mean that Tathagata is thinking dualistically. Means he's thinking there is a concept of self, then there is these concept of people that he has to save. Okay, there is this being that this he believes that this is this being, this is the time, and all those things. And then he would also believe in the concept of a separate existence. Then that would be wrong, because then it would break the law of dependent origination, which is not true. And he does not say that, because the Tathagata says self. When he talks about self, there is no self. He's talking only in the point of a reference. Okay. Yet the enlightened commoner takes this to be a self. So even though a Buddha is teaching us that there is no self, one who does not understand the whole process of causation, okay, a dependent origination, is going to see oneself as a separate self. Okay, Subhuti, when Buddha is also telling about the commoner, he again is just saying that because he wants to use them as a category of people who are not enlightened, who don't understand the Pratitya Samutpad, who do not understand dependent origination, who do not understand impermanence, who do not understand non-self. He's talking about them. But in speaking so, also he's just referring them to as commoners. In actuality, there are no separate group of people like they are commoners, because if that is a case, tomorrow if they get enlightened, they are no more commoners.
Hmm.
So you cannot have a fixed idea, concept, or view about something. And Buddha is telling us that one has to understand that such a thinking process where you think dualistically leads you to all the ignorance and all the suffering. But when you see everything as dependent and know the law of causation, then you will realize that the best option right now you have is to become the cause for the result to manifest in the future. And that means that opportunity is now, not somewhere else, not with someone else, not with situation, circumstances. It is with the choice that you make in the now, that these are the things that lead to that. Hence I'm going to make sure that I'm going to lead my life in these particular way. That is dharma.
Great. Just had a question here that when they're referring, like there are many terms coming up, like sometimes Buddha and here Tathagata. And Tathagata means a teacher, and is it applied to all? Like when these verses are there, it means about it's talking about all the teachers, or is it more of what does this term refers to?
No, so here, when now the context here is between the conversation of Subhuti and the Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
So the context, always remember that when you are studying something, never miss the context with which it started. Okay, because what happens is we forget the context where it all began, and we get lost up in the whole journey, and then the purpose is lost. So one has to realize that this conversation is happening between Subhuti and Tathagata, and the question still is the same: how does a virtuous man
Man
and a
and a
woman who
virtuous.
wishes to attain the Anattara Samyak Sambodhi, okay, how should they control their thoughts and how should they focus their mind? This is the question that was the reason this conversation happened. So again, to keep it simple in matters of context, this is the conversation between two people,
Hmm.
Subhuti and the Buddha. Yes, the word Buddha sometimes is used, sometimes the word Tathagata is used. Okay, and there are many names. But yeah, they are again contextual. Here,
Hmm.
Tathagata means the one who speaks as it is, who tells you, things the way it is, with no add-ons, with nothing, right? So usually that's the title of a teacher who teaches us things as it should be. Okay, not otherwise. Buddha is the one who basically has realized. So here, if you think the realized one, the blessed one, basically these are the ones that when it is in context to that they will use that word, and when it is in context to somebody who's teaching, it's usually the word Tathagata that will come in picture.
Okay, got it. But a very beautiful sutra, because this tells us that make today count and not live on to the future thing. That because we always tend to believe that in future there will come a time and then we'll do this.
Yeah.
Whenever we want to do something, we cannot plan about now, because now situations are so that you don't feel like it can happen now. So you're always planning about a future moment where things might happen or you might do things. But this, you are saying that it's all about now and you have to do it now.
Yeah, because having a concept of future is
Mm-hmm.
still having a concept of another you coming up in the future. It's a wrong
Mm-hmm.
concept, right? So now Dhruv is this way. No, but from tomorrow I'm going to be this. But
Mm-hmm.
there is no tomorrow
Tomorrow.
Dhruv. There is only now Dhruv, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having a concept of a people means a person who's going to be in the distance tomorrow, okay, is wrong. Okay, so having a concept that now I am this way, tomorrow I'm going to be that way is again having a dualistic view.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then being right now I'm like this, tomorrow I'll be like that. That's also a wrong idea. And existence means now things are like this, I know tomorrow it will be different. So again, thinking all that, it is not like that you should be thinking, because that's a wrong thinking. Because tomorrow never comes. Okay, the only thing that is there is the now. So once you realize it, once you have the both, then you have to immediately apply that little understanding of yours into fulfilling the responsibility that you have that very moment. Okay, that is how you go into the process of evolution, survival, and then you will progress. So the ultimate aim is to act,
Mm-hmm.
and that action is dependent on what your current situation is demanding. So if it's raining, then make sure that you carry an umbrella. When it's hot and sunny, you have the choice. If it's very hot, carry a umbrella. If not, you can just walk like that with a cap. If it's cold, wear your sweater. It depends on what the situation is at that moment, not of a futuristic way.
Great. So we have even Venki and Mahesh joined with us. I'll
Yeah.
try to get them on the screen if they have any question. Yeah, Venki, good morning. I'll try to get Mahesh also.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Venki, if you have anything, any questions, please you can ask, or any insight from today, because it,
Yes,
yeah.
Doctor, you explained about dependency in independence. So I didn't got that concept. Can you please explain?
No, in according to the Buddha, who realized it, the truth, he saw that nothing is independent. Everything is dependent on something. Okay.
Yes.
Show me one thing that has no previous, no past. Show me something that is there. Means, can you show me a tree without the seed that
Mm.
manifested the tree?
No.
Okay. That seed has become the tree. The tree will again give rise to thousands of seeds. Those
Yes.
thousands of seeds will give rise to thousands of trees again. So the whole jungle also actually began with one seed.
Yes.
So technically, everything all began from that single entity. But we don't know that single entity. But we know one thing that is there, that nothing exists separate.
Mm.
Okay, everything is dependently originating, and hence the concept of something being separate self is what Buddha says is not possible. So there cannot be something that you separate out and say this is what it is. It doesn't work like that. So the concept here is that Nothing is fixed. Everything is in a flux depending on the situation circumstances. There is no separate ice from the water. The water is itself the ice. There is no separate steam from the water. The steam is basically the ice. The reason that the water became the steam is because of conditions. The reason that the water became the ice is because of conditions. So the ultimate thing that matters in transforming something or creating this manifested world is conditions. So Buddha again stresses on the fact that it's conditioning that is going to decide. So when you practice meditation, you're conditioning yourself for peace. You're conditioning yourself for clarity, for focus. So, what is going to become the result because of this condition? You're going to become a person with a peaceful mind, a focused mind, a clear mind. Okay, if you follow the Panchashil, you will be following the principles that will make you sure that you are virtuous enough, that people can interact with you. So, the outcome of following the Panchashil will be so that you will become a person of that quality. So, at the end, it's all conditioning.
Yes, Lord. Understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I was just going to ask you when you were discussing with Venki, it was like if for us to act, the most, you can say, as you shared, the most important thing would be to pinpoint, if you want to, our conditions. If conditions are not there, to act would be so difficult, right? So then, if the conditions don't match and we have to act as per the situation, but if conditions are not in favor, then what one should do?
So the Buddha gave us the four-step method. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
there is something that is not good,
Mm-hmm.
okay, stay away from it. That's your action. If something that is not good has happened to you, try
Mm-hmm.
to reduce it by being good. Something good is not there within you. Try to cultivate that. If
Mm-hmm.
something good has happened to you by an opportunity, by a chance, make sure that you nourish and take care of it. So many time in life, we face in a situation. Let's say, for example, a very simple example which we don't have control on. That you're born in a poor family. You're born in a family which is full of all the sufferings that you could ever imagine, and you sit and curse destiny. You curse. That is wrong. You first realize that you're born in a poor family, but now you have a choice. Do you want to remain poor? No, I want to change this. So now you have to first is start working towards it. Start studying. Start doing the extra job. Others would be playing. Maybe you don't get a chance to play. You will have to work. All those things you'll have to do so that you can combat and face the challenges that poverty brings along, and try to make sure that you elevate or take away the poverty from your life, not only from your life but even from your family's life. Second is, what you don't have the good skill sets to become rich, then you start actually cultivating that. By chance you got certain skill set that you became a good orator, you are a good salesman, then you try to enhance those skills that will help you to become rich. So again, it's application of something that you have to do. Stay away and eliminate the bad, cultivate and nourish the good. That's it. That's conditioning.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Uh, and Mahesh, if anything from your side?
No, thank you, though. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are almost at the end of our session. That was the sutra and that was the discussion for the day. And it was a very important discussion, I think so. And thank you so much, Rajesh sir, for taking out the time. And thank you, Venki. Thank you, Mahesh. With all of your permission, now I'll proceed to end the session. And
Yeah.
but if there is a concluding note from Rajesh sir, or I think so, that was enough. So those four things were like very important.
Yeah. And you can do the self analysis in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need anything else or anyone else to do that. So the whole question of subhuti, how a virtuous man, virtuous woman control their thoughts and focus your mind. In that, the most important aspect is again in this chapter that do not expect somebody else to help you with that.
Yeah.
It's only you yourself who's going to help you. Your conditioning in your life is your basically outcome of what you have done. You are ignorant about what you did, why you are being punished. It's
Mm-hmm.
like once you wake up in the morning and you see yourself in the jail, and you say, "Oh, why am I in the jail? Why is it the world outside is enjoying and I am in the jail and this thing?" But you were in a coma. You did not realize you had murdered somebody. So
Hmm.
now you're going to be punished,
Yeah.
but because you are ignorant. But how do I know that I'm in the jail and I'm being punished? By realizing that you are in the jail and you're being punished. That's it. Once you realize I'm being punished, I'm in the jail, means I would have done something, because it cannot happen by chance. So that means now is a chance for me to be the virtuous man, the virtuous woman in the jail itself. Make
Hmm.
sure that I focus, make sure I control my thoughts. With that, my journey of liberation has begun, because suddenly I become the good person within the jail. And the jailer doesn't like good people staying in the jail. And the jailer is going to throw you out of the jail. And that's exactly where you want to go. You want to be liberated out of the jail. So this is what it is. So it's all about realization and then working on the conditions that are very much visible. Okay. And then acting upon. So the solutions to life is very simple. It's basically self analysis,
Analysis.
being a critical thinker for your own self, looking at the situations in your life. Do not compare with anybody else. Your life is unique in its own way, it has its own journey. You understand it, you realize it, and you start working towards it. That's it. So do not get impressed or depressed with others' life. Start working with your own life and be completely pressed with your own problems. Do not get worried with the world and the situation and circumstances. Start walking your journey, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys. Bye
Namaste.
bye.
Bye.
Namaste.
Thank you.